Welcome to Inside Auto Podcast, where we feature everyone and anyone you'd want to talk to in and out of the automotive industry.
Anna Shabtai here, host of Inside Auto Podcast, where we interview top dealers, GMs, marketers, and entrepreneurs in and out of the automotive industry. Before we introduce today's guest, this episode is sponsored by FullPath.com. FullPath is the automotive industry's leading customer data and experience platform, CDXP. FullPath enables dealers to turn their first-party data into lifelong customers by unifying siloed data sources and leveraging that data to create exceptional, hyper-personalized customer experiences. To learn more, visit FullPath.com. Today, we have Anthony Cameron on the podcast with us. Anthony, how are you?
I'm doing very well. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. Anthony is the operations director for the Diehl Automotive Group located in Western Pennsylvania into Eastern Central Ohio. So excited to have him on. So Anthony, tell us how you got into automotive.
A little bit of a different path. Yeah, my background was in marketing when I graduated my undergrad. A couple years later, I went back to graduate school. So I went to law school, graduated law school, practiced for a few years. In the process, I met Matthew Diehl and Karina Diehl. He was one of my classmates, was Matt, and sometime later he had some growth on the horizon. Could feel that I was kind of getting a little disenchanted, and I said, "Hey, I'd like to be on board with an opportunity to grow with your organization." And he needed some people that he thought was good. I don't know if he got good people, but he thought they would be good, and so I jumped on board with him then.
And then did you actually leave legal behind completely, or do you still practice it?
I still maintain a license. So I don't practice in the private sector at all. In-house kind of, utilize the skill set to stay as sharp as possible. But predominantly the day-to-day is not consumed with legal matters. But I still keep life.
Yeah, and that's smart. That's really smart. And then how long have you been with Diehl?
Since 2015, I believe it was March of 2015. Yeah, started in sales, moved up to sales management, and thereafter I've worn virtually every other hat in the dealership level, and on. So from there, just kind of continue to grow to the platform level now.
That's awesome. And you're overseeing how many stores now as operations director?
Tasked with the oversight of 21. That includes we've got a great team from good involvement from dealer principal level on down to our platform level. I've got a great counterpart, partner in crime, as I like to call him, that works well with me side by side, and then a great team that works around with us too. So there's 21 total stores.
That's great. And then tell me a little bit about the day-to-day as operations director. I know that you do have a lot of say in marketing, and you're involved in the marketing side. But what's like your main responsibility? I mean, I'm sure you do everything, but tell us a little bit about your day-to-day.
I would like to do a little more of certain things than others, but my primary task has been training and getting our general managers truly up to speed, right? Because if we train a strong general manager and core group of platform and store director level, that trickles down. That creates a stronger team, stronger culture, and you get that kind of next up mentality from beneath you, so that the growth, which, Lord willing, we continue to grow, and we've had some success as that continues to happen. We're not spread too thin at that point. So it's mostly working hands-on with the general managers, training them, working with them, bouncing ideas, and then on the other side of the coin, like you said, with the with FullPath, a wonderful partner of ours, and the other vendors that we utilize and work with, kind of having a hand in just about every other jar, that consumes the day to day. But best days are around when I'm back in some of the stores, when I'm seeing customers that we've had for a decade that I haven't seen in a while, and kind of shaking hands and touching base with those customers and some of the.
I was going to ask you, do you miss the sales? I feel like it's once you're in car sales, it's kind of hard to get out.
It is, and it's the personalities kind of, when you're in that sales office or you're on the showroom floor, it's just kind of like contagious, the energy and the feelings. Like that's why I love being out there walking around on the floor and working with the teams as well day to day. But I don't get to do that as much as I'd like, but it's still good to get out there once in a while and connect.
Yeah, it just like re-energizes, which is nice.
Yeah.
What are What are some of the, I'd love to know a little bit more about the training actually that you do with the general managers. First of all, do you do it one-on-one or all the general managers come together or both? I'm interested in hearing how that works at Deal. And then also, what type of training do you do? Do you do all sorts of training where you're, explaining to them about a new software, a new vendor? Is it about how to train their sales staff? Like, tell me a little bit about the training that you're doing, because that's really interesting. We don't talk about that enough on Inside
Sure.
Auto
So
Podcast.
it's working with the teams we do one-on-one and we do in a team environment, right? So we'll have
Okay.
monthly or quarterly meetings with our general managers, get everyone together. It's kind of a brain trust, who's doing what well. We'll identify several areas that we need to touch in on, right? Industry, the latest of what's going on in the industry, what's ahead for us specific to certain OEMs, and what's specific or what's more broad for the industry, right? The UAW is a perfect example of a concern that we've got, looking ahead as everyone in our industry has. But we do it individually to the extent that we can, on more of a weekly basis. So, for instance, my counterpart Ian or myself might split, work on this grouping of stores, this territory. I'll take this territory. Maybe we switch a few months down the line, but we'll spend time with them day to day where we manage both the P&L, like pull up a statement, for instance. Let's find out. Let's drill into what's happening. Right. These are the certain metrics that we should
Mhm.
are key performance indicators. We're exceeding. We're falling short. There's opportunity here, and then we talk through it, work through what is causing what's the root cause of the issue. All right, or why are we doing something well, and let's spread this around amongst the team. So a lot of times that ends up with a collaboration cross brand. So we have 4 Stellantis stores. We like to have all 5 of those Stellantis stores and managers, department and general managers communicate with each other. Same message, same strengths. The economies of scale work in your favor. So, um, so
Hmm.
we do things from anything from creative thought, and get these guys more comfortable in for instance, a fixed operations area that they're not too familiar with. That they came straight, for instance, out of sales. They barely know what a repair order is when they're really starting up to train for that position. So
Wow.
we'll
Yeah.
walk through them, certain things, what makes a good repair order, what makes a great customer experience, customer process. How do we do it in our organization everywhere to make sure the customer has this as close to the same excellent experience as they can get, not just on the sales side, but in the back of the house, on the service, collision, etc. Um, that's part of it. It's really wide scape or wide spanning. It's as much one-on-one as we can get, and then get everybody together, because you get that kind of a brain trust together, and you start to kind of get some good ideas flowing, and we get some good takeaways from it. So it's a little bit of a blend of both.
And when you do implement something new, is it for the entire store, or is it by brand, by region, or store by store?
That depends on the undertaking or the adjustment. So something is
Right.
something more like, for instance, like pricing for on your new vehicles. Those should be the same. We're in a similar geography, same market. We want to price the same, so long
Got
as
it.
your geographic region doesn't restrict that. Different programs, right? You want to be on the same level there, but every store has certain things about it that creates its own ecosystem. Some things that those customers in that environment too. So there isn't a one thing is the best for every store, because there's
Yeah.
personalities of your customer base, of your employees that we work with to maximize what we gain from them. So it's not we look at what the change is and the potential risks or benefits of a widespread change. We've done that before, it's worked,
Yeah.
done it before, and it's like we should have rolled that out one by one. And so you kind of learn
Right.
and evaluate as you go.
Yeah. It's interesting. You also have just so much to work with because you're 21 stores, tons of brands. Like I love that you can also just test different things on different stores, different brands, and figure out what's working for every single store. So that's cool.
Yeah, and every like we said, the customers. I mean, customers in Ohio that buy a Hyundai might be a little different than the customers in a different part of the more rural PA part that
Right.
buys a Chevy, half-ton pickup truck, or a Chevy three-quarter
Hmm.
ton. So it is it's very diverse, and we allow our teams for that reason to get together, collaborate, because you know they take some
Right.
things from what's working well elsewhere, and kind of leave others.
Yeah. It's like you have your own internal 20 group. It's
It
great.
is. It's good. And our
Yeah.
our you know our like I said, our dealer principals here are involved in the part of their own 20 groups, and so we
Yep.
got plenty. There's no shortage of ideas, right? It's just about executing and
Yeah.
running
Yeah. Of course.
properly.
Yeah, and whatever
Yeah.
works too, right? You can have tons of ideas. So what are some of the challenges you're seeing now? Whether that's, influenced by the economy, something external or within the stores?
Sure. So I guess the least sexy answer is the obvious, which is interest rates, right? That's impacting everyone from
Yeah.
consumers to the buying behaviors and habits to the carrying costs for inventory, right? So you got to try and run as lean
Yeah.
and mean as possible, right? That's a little canned. The biggest challenge I'd say that we've had, hats off to Matt and Karina, they've the Diehl family, because I just read an article in Automotive News where we were top, I want to say seven or eight in the fastest growing auto groups in the country for 2020.
Well,
Yeah, it's
congratulations.
awesome.
Awesome.
And they're
Yeah.
fantastic. Listen, we're a fantastic group to work for. They're a fantastic family to work for. But they the biggest challenge I'd say is that kind of growth to double, to
Yeah. Oh
take
yeah.
this and just double it, right? And the next day and so on and keep growing and growing. Uh, the personalities, the cultures within those, and the tendencies and behaviors and habits that they've had from the previous. Um, Somebody selling that's on the market for sale, a group, store, whatever it is, they're not always selling because they're not doing well. Sometimes they're selling and they are doing well. So there's takeaways, good, both good and bad, that we need to adopt or change, drop, any of the above. So the difference in the dichotomy in personalities, and systems has been, systems. You got a DMS, we had at one point there was three DMSs that we were operating within, right? We're consolidating that now into one, but that's a challenge to work with administratively and logistically.
Yeah, for
And then
sure.
obviously just the simple scope of personalities and personnel, right? It's when you get to that many employees, it just has its own scale challenges, but it's
Yeah.
great. I love the folks that joined us last year. We have a high retention rate, even of people that come on board. And I like to think it's exclusively because I'm so charming. I can't tell you that for sure, but we are a great group.
Sure, that has something to do with it.
No, we've got a great group to work for. We're open minded. We love people. We love people that we work for, and that we service.
That's
So
great. Yeah.
it's that's an important message from the top down.
Yeah, and I mean, growing pains, it sounds pretty typical based on the growth
Yeah,
rate you're talking about. But let's go back for a second to the canned response
yeah.
that's how you described it. Interest rates. I know everyone's talking about it, and I know everyone's dealing with the challenges for the most part in the same way. But I would love to know, is there something, is there one specific thing you think that you've changed, whether that's with the messaging with the clients or running lean, meaning getting inventory off faster so that you guys don't have to pay those high interest rates? Like what do you, if you could think of one or two things that's really helped the group when it comes to just like adjusting to these crazy interest rates, what do you think it would be?
Well, I mean, there's only a limitation that you've got, right? So it's not like I can tell you that we've created our own financial lending arm and we're able to serve it.
That's what you should
Yeah,
do. Go talk
it's
to
so
Matt.
super easy, right? You just snap your fingers, right?
So easy.
There's no
Yeah.
regulations with FINRA. No, but it's a I tell you that we've angsted quite a bit over what the best route is, right? Previously you were
Right, of
seeing a
course.
ton of financing because your finance was what, 3% on a dollar. I mean, my last car loan I think was a 191, like just standard financing rate, not an incentivized subvented rate. So like, fast forward 3 4 years, and then you're in this boat. So we're struggling with the amount of cash or outside lending that we have. We've tried to expand to outside
Hmm.
lenders that we may not traditionally have worked with before. Is there something that we can get enrolled with? But with the rates arriving to the stage that they are, on the retail front, consumer side, we've battled for our customers. Will continue to do so. Battle to keep the financing in house to make the transition simple and seamless. And we have inevitably seen a lot of outside financing and cash, so that's made it challenging
Right.
to a large extent for us, right? It also kills me when somebody pays cash for a car because you could still make your money in the market. I don't care whether you're paying 6%, you should be earning 9. But that's not
Yeah.
earning, that's financial advisor.
But you're probably, like you said, you're seeing so many more cash deals come in.
Right, right. Keep that money in the market for another 10 years and your return will be
Yeah.
well above what your finance charge is. But on the operational side, what we've done to challenge that is we're focusing harder than we ever have on turn, right? Because your OEMs are going to involve with you,
Right.
give you you're going to get your credits back on the back end, but uh,
Right.
holding them is just it's crazy expensive, right? And the with the
Right.
retail with the invoice and MSRPs on these vehicles rising, it's the carrying cost has gone up even more than just simply the weighted interest rate because we're that same truck was three, five, $6,000 less 3 years ago. Uh,
Right.
and so you'd think there'd be a higher to combat the interest rate pen. You'd think there'd be a stronger lease pen, and we try to encourage our customers to lease vehicles so they're consistently getting into a new, fresh vehicle. Your cost of ownership may change. Uh, Manufacturer or captive lenders haven't come back around entirely just yet. They're just now picking back up. But what we've done to I guess, combat that is we try to present both options, every option to our customers at the time of presentation, so that they can make the most informed decision that's going to save them the most money, make the most sense for the store, the customer, and long term, for both parties. And we haven't done anything other than the obvious, very outside of the box, super creative, because we're a little bit limited by what we can do. So to combat it, it's just been sell as many cars as you can as quick as you can. Now that also, while other dealers, we get it specifically out of state, are pricing vehicles with adjustments over MSRP. That's not something that you see us or our market do, because I mean it's not right to the customer, but in the same breath, at this point, it'll slowly slow down your turn. So we're
Right.
being a little more aggressive
No,
than what I'd say most other markets are being in, around PA and Ohio.
that's interesting. And you're probably also focusing so much more on your brand because you need people to just choose you guys over competition right now,
Right. Right.
um, just to get as many vehicles out. Interesting. Okay, so now before we sign off here, I'd love to know what do you think, what are you predicting for the next 12 months in automotive?
Ooh,
Do you think do you think like I don't know, I can throw out
good. I'd like to hear
some
your
pitches
conspiracy
here,
theory. Throw out
but
some numbers here.
no, I don't have any conspiracy theories, but I mean, what do you think about like the influence of EVs or do you think EVs will really be at the level that people are predicting? Or what are you seeing even with the EV sales? I'd love to know. So we could talk about that. We could talk about interest rates. Do you think they're actually ever going to come down? We're just going to live like this forever.
No, so
But I'd love to know what
I,
you're.
I have no insider information, of course. I just tell you from what my perspective. I think on the interest rate side, I think you're going to see Q2. I would be hopeful, end of
Mhm.
Q1. You might see the first drop, but that's whatever.
Okay, so we have some
Yeah.
time.
So we're gonna be stuck for a minute. I think you're gonna see
Yeah.
lenders and the OEMs change their tune a little bit. They're going to need to get more aggressive, but with the potential strike looming, even if it's only a 2-3 month, 6 week to 8 week, downtime, I that could throw a whole new wrench into the situation. Certainly
Yeah,
some.
that's true. That is like we need it, but
Yeah,
yeah,
right. Like another. Lord knows we don't need to have more
it's enough.
backordered parts for our customers. And then on the side
Yeah.
of on the side of what the market is going to do as a whole, and in the advent of the EVs, I think that, well, there's no secret these EVs, the OEMs are really held if they've, depending on where the store is located, carb state, non-carb state, you know what kind of requirements they have had mandated down on them from the federal government, what kind of objectives they need to hit. They're pushing certain things. So a challenge or a unique scenario is in Pennsylvania, you're getting a lot more EVs from most manufacturers, being a carb state, than in Ohio, right? So
Right.
our consumers have seemed to have adopted the hybrid. The full electric is where the challenge becomes. Those are vehicles that sit, 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 and sit. Um,
Is that because of like battery anxiety
Probably, yeah.
or yeah, what are they calling it? Like range
Yeah,
anxiety?
and it's
Yeah.
and it's because the same
Yeah.
thing is, I don't have that. I don't want to install 220. I don't want to, and then
Right.
I
Right.
don't want to. It's still new. Early adopters are,
Yeah.
they're
Yeah.
going to take the time after those people have adopted them. But then I don't believe the manufacturers have made a way to manufacture them at a competitive enough price point to get more market share, right? They're not cheaper than
Interesting.
a
Yeah.
gas motor or anything like that. So the hybrids are like that first way in. We have a lot of people in the
Hmm.
plug-ins or the non the AG or sorry, the hybrids or the PHEVs, and they're a hot item. The EVs fully, no, they stay, they sit. The infrastructure is what you hear, and people are still scared about it. It's the anxiety, like you said.
Yeah.
They perform well.
Yeah.
They're cool, but they're not what people know. So I don't think that's something that's going to change.
Right. It'll take longer than 12 months. That's what you're saying
Yeah, I think
for the full adoption.
well, different markets. Baltimore is a lot different than Pittsburgh, you know. So,
Right.
but I think it'll still take a little
Interesting.
bit of time. But it's inevitable. It's coming. It's upon us now.
Yeah. Yeah. Interesting. Okay. Well, thank you so much for telling us a little bit about
Sure.
Diehl Automotive and your experience. It was great having you on the podcast, Inside Auto Podcast. If you like this episode, please tune in. You can find us on all your favorite streaming podcasts, Apple, Spotify, Deezer, you name it. InsideAutoPodcast.com. Thank you again,
Thank you.
Anthony.
Appreciate it.
Thanks for listening to Inside Auto Podcast. Check out our other episodes with top entrepreneurs and industry leaders.